Megan Porta had one of those rare moments where her spark, that little voice that lives inside all of us, talked to her while she was on a 2-week road trip with her family. She and I both agree that the only way she was able to hear that spark was because she intentionally stepped away from social media and work for that period of time. As a mom and wife, as well as food blogger and now author, Megan is no stranger to the demands of day-to-day life. But she's found ways to create that all-important silence so she can have more opportunities to listen for that still, small voice.
Another thing I do and talk about often is just morning routine. And a lot of people, I think, are afraid of that term because they think, I have to get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and I have to work out for an hour. And like, you have to have a 3-hour morning routine if I want to be successful. And that is not true at all. I think a morning routine could consist of 20 minutes of sitting by yourself, like we've been talking about, or writing for 5 minutes or 2 minutes in a journal. It can be pared back so much more than you think, and you can build on it as you go. But I think they're so valuable.
And as you grow.
And as you grow, as you go and grow. Yeah. But morning routines are so valuable because you just set the stage for your day.
Hi, I'm Dayna Del Val, author, TEDx speaker, and visibility coach for leaders ready to affect change and become audaciously visible. On this podcast, I sit down with leaders from across backgrounds to explore the space where curiosity, connection, and progress meet, especially in a polarized world. Welcome to Brave Middle Ground. Megan, thanks so much for joining me on Brave Middle Ground.
So happy to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in and start with how do you define middle ground from any aspect of your life you'd like to go from?
I think I could go a lot of different ways. At this very moment, I would say middle ground is balance and finding the space in the extremes that I think we tend to get pulled into from time to time, depending on what areas of life we're in. So yeah, just balance for me right now, today.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent way to say it. Balance today.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you personally work on that, Megan?
I work very intentionally on this lately. I make sure to just create space for myself whenever I can. We can let the busyness of life and the details of life just consume us. So I think we need to be intentional and just sitting quietly, or maybe it's meditating or reading a book or doing things outside of just the active brain stuff that we can fall into so easily. So yeah, just quietness, breaks, things I know my soul needs from time to time.
Yeah, in February, I gave a TEDx talk on the transformative power of silence. So I really get your intentional making space for that. Why do you think that's so hard for people, Megan?
I think it's just become ingrained. Like, this is how we live. We live in a world where everything is hustle and go and do. And so few people take the time to actually just be and set those things aside for a moment. So I think it's just the world around us dictates what we do. And sadly, we fall into the trap and don't realize that it's really not good or healthy to be in that all the time. So yeah, it's just looking around and kind of doing what the rest of the world is doing.
Yes, one of the points in that talk is when we are in this relentless pursuit of doing, we don't make space for becoming. And so it really speaks to what you're talking about. So what do you do, Megan, in your life that this is work that you are doing for yourself and trying to help other people do too?
In my businesses specifically, or just?
Sure. Just, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a community and a podcast for food bloggers. Food bloggers are naturally very driven people. They have a lot to do. I don't know if you know much about food blogging, but there's just a lot involved. I mean, we wear the hats of many, many different people. So there's a lot to do. There's never a lack of things to do. So I came into this space in that same mentality years ago. I've been a food blogger for 15 years. And eventually I started noticing that this could consume me if I kept carrying on like this. So one of the purposes of starting my podcast, which is called Eat Blog Talk, was to share value with food bloggers, yes, but also to help them slow down, because if we don't, we just burn ourselves out and we don't stop. So yeah, that has been a really big intention of mine in this industry that I'm in, just to help people see that they need to stop and slow down once in a while and just be, and actually your business will thrive because of that. It seems really counterintuitive, but it really does work.
So share with us some of the tips you use for yourself or encourage other people to consider, because I think you're right. I think there's a misunderstanding that if I slow down, the work will stop.
Yeah.
And if the work stops, then I'm essentially professionally dead.
Right. Yeah. I know people get so caught up in that. So some of the tips I have are really simple, and it sounds maybe oversimplified, but these worked for me. Taking things off of your phone that are distracting you. So years ago, this was shortly after the pandemic, I realized that I was super burned out, and I had absolutely no reason to be, because there was nowhere to go. There was nothing to do. I'm like, wait a second, there's something wrong in here. I need to try to fix it. So I looked at my phone first and just thought, okay, I need to take one thing off my phone and just see what happens. So I took email off my phone, and it was like I had an addiction, because I kept going back, that habit of, oh, I need to check. And I just stopped myself and I said, no, don't do it. I was very firm with Megan, and I stuck with it. I still don't have email on my phone. And that changed my life. Literally within 2 months, I felt like a totally different human. It was so revealing. And then I did it with more things. So then I took Facebook off my phone, and just kept doing that. So do those little things, remove little things from your life that you think will make you more present.
It's so interesting. I heard a woman speak, I don't know, probably 2 years ago by the time this airs. And she talked about an app called ClearSpace. And it doesn't take anything off your phone, but it makes it much harder to get to. So around the same time I heard her speak, I realized that I was getting to stop signs, stop lights, and immediately picking up my phone and checking Facebook.
Yeah.
And I thought, you can't sit for
Right.
10 seconds? I mean, we're talking about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So I purchased ClearSpace. I think that's what it's called. And I blocked Instagram, Facebook, and Apple News, because Apple News is like a dopamine hit of headline scrolling. It just never ends. There's no bottom.
Yeah.
And so you get to pick how many times a day do you want to be able to go on? Do you want to go on for 1, 3, 5, or 10 minutes? So I said 3 times a day. When you hit it, it says, before anything else, take a breath, breathe in, breathe out. And then it gives you a quote, and then it asks you how many minutes you want to be in, and then you can get into the site. So in 2 years, I think I've been on Facebook on my phone 4 times. I mean, it essentially made it like I don't have Facebook on my phone, which was fantastic. So then early in 2026, I thought, I've just made YouTube my new go-to place. Now I'm watching, you'll appreciate this, I'm watching 1,000 cooking videos.
Yes.
I could watch somebody slice cabbage for the rest of my life, apparently.
Yeah.
That's incredibly relaxing. But I don't need that. So I just added YouTube to the same app. And so I haven't had it off for very long, but I haven't gone on once.
That's great.
So I mean, I think there is, It would be great if we could manage this stuff ourselves.
I know.
Just like my husband's in recovery. It would be lovely if he could occasionally share a glass of wine with me. That is not the relationship that he has with alcohol. And so, better to have none than to test the waters and have it fall apart. And I'm not exactly equating social media scrolling to alcoholism, but addiction is addiction is addiction.
Absolutely.
And if you can't manage it yourself, which quite frankly, none of it's designed to be able to manage ourselves,
That's a good point. Yeah.
then I say figure out what you need to do. Take it entirely off your phone, get an app that makes it much harder to be on it, whatever you need to do to be more present to your real life.
Yeah. I think what you said is so important because people assume that they should be able to manage it themselves. Like if you bring this issue to somebody, just a random person in your life, they'll be like, "Oh, well, I should be able to manage my Facebook usage." Yeah, you should be able to, but like you said, it's designed so that you cannot manage it. It's
Yes.
designed so that you get addicted and you keep scrolling and you have to come back for more and more and more. So most of us do need help and we just
Yes.
don't acknowledge that, I think.
Yeah, because it feels kind of embarrassing.
It is.
I'm a 53-year-old woman and
know.
I can't manage my phone. I mean, what does that say about me? What it says about me is that I'm a human being and that the developers of apps know exactly what triggers human beings. That's what it says.
Exactly. Right. It doesn't say anything bad about you. We're all the same. We're all doing
Yeah.
it. Some of us can see it clearly and some are like maybe in denial a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I thought about 6 months ago about canceling this ClearSpace app because you have to pay for it and it's not really expensive, but sometimes it's kind of interesting to think about where's all your money going. And I thought maybe I'll cancel it. And then literally thinking about having immediate access to it made me feel like, no,
Oh,
I'm
freaked you
not
out.
exactly like my husband. Maybe he could manage drinking again. It's been more than 9 years, but why would we test that?
Yeah.
We know what this phase looks like and it's great. Why would we test it? Or why would we make it harder than it needs to be to manage it?
Yes. Right.
So,
So for the ClearSpace app, is there a way around it? Because I know on the app, the iPhone, you can also do that, but then it's like you can, just tell it to be quiet and you can actually get
probably,
into the apps.
I mean,
Okay.
probably for people who care about disrupting the system, you can
Yeah.
figure it out. I don't care enough to try to
Right.
like break the rule.
Right.
I'm
Break
paying
the
for the
phone.
rule.
Yeah.
I've put it in on myself.
Right.
So
That's a
yeah,
good point. You're paying for it, so maybe
Yeah.
you're a little bit more committed. Okay.
but even more than being committed to the cost, because again, I think I could be way off about this. I feel like I paid $65 for the year, and that's high, if anything. It's not low. It's far less about that than sort of the inconvenience of all of the steps. You have to go through about 4 steps before you actually can get onto the app.
Right.
And it's just not worth it to me. By the time I think about all of that, I've
You're
lost
exhausted.
interest in getting on the app. And so
Yeah.
it's a really, again, those developers knew what would work and it's working.
Yeah.
It's working
that-
and it's working in a positive way for me.
Yes, that's great. Another thing
Yeah.
you can do, this is what I do with email and Facebook. Actually, no, I think I have Facebook completely off. But with email, I have it just hidden. So I don't have the app actually on my phone, but it's on there. You just can't see it.
Sure.
Because every once in a while, I do need something when I'm out and about, like you need to sign this form or whatever.
Yeah.
So but I do have to go through the app store. I have to type in Gmail. I have to bring it up. It, like you said,
Yeah.
there's these extra steps. So I wouldn't just do it if I were standing in line at the grocery store. But
Yeah.
if I need it, I can get on there. So that's another step you can do if you just want to make it harder.
Yeah. I've heard people say even something as simple as make your screens black and white.
Yes, I think
so
that
that
too.
your apps aren't as colorful and enticing. You know, remember when the pods, the first dishwasher and washing machine pods came out and toddlers were eating them left,
Oh,
right, and center?
yikes.
And everybody was, like, what is the matter? Because it wasn't just toddlers, it was kids too. People were saying, what's the matter? You know what the matter is? We're drawn to color.
Mm,
Again, I don't think that detergent companies set out to have children eating their
yeah.
pods. But it became a huge conversation point. It was great. I mean, in some instances, even bad news is still press. It became this whole thing. I don't know. I think color is very, very appealing. And if you look at
Mm,
apps, they look like little jewels, little
they
pieces of candy, little
do. I
rewards,
know.
all of that. If it's helpful to make them black and white and less alluring, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Really, I think that the big point here is don't be don't be stubborn because you think you should be able to handle this. The system is set up
Yeah.
that you can't. So then lean into how you can fix it for yourself versus berating yourself or just giving into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and it's worth it too. I know it
Yeah.
feels like a little bit embarrassing and it feels like it will be hard and it might be really hard because for me it is still
Me
hard.
too. Me too.
Um but when you experience the space from it, whatever that is that's pulling you in and absorbing your head, your mind, you experience so much goodness and you can allow yourself to just be like you're supposed to be. And that's for me, that's when the creativity flows. That's when my ideas come.
Hmm.
I have some of my best ideas when I disconnect from work intentionally and from social media. So just know that, yes, it might be hard, but the goodness that is waiting for you is so worth it.
I couldn't agree with you more. That disconnection piece is vital, 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 vital.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
I think so I grew up as a young child. I can hear my parents saying, "I'm going to go warm up the television." Because you used to have to warm up TVs. They didn't just automatically come on. And in their bedroom, they had a black and white TV, and then we had a little color TV in our living room. But I don't have a period of my life pre-TV, pre-telephone, pre-radio, all those things. So so none of that is so appealing and alluring in my life that I can't manage it. But this new phase feels unmanageable. And I think about the generations who don't have a touch point of a life pre social media, pre
Yeah.
access 24 hours a day, pre working at all hours because somebody texted you about work. Well, then you obviously have to text back.
Yeah.
All of that is such an imbalance in our lives. And we're losing that quiet time with ourselves. And without that, I think we're sort of doomed because that's where
I know.
innovation and
That's
ideas
so
and
true.
and connection to ourself come from.
Yeah. It is so true. I know, like we've been saying over and over, I struggle all the time. It's not an easy situation. Last summer, I actually took 2 weeks off work when we went on our yearly vacation. We do a summer road trip each year in our RV out west,
Hmm.
and I was so nervous about it. I was just frantic, like almost frantic. Like, what am I going to do?
Hmm.
Is the world going to fall apart? I have a
Hmm.
community of people who rely on me. I have a team. I have like I was making all these excuses for why I
Uh-huh.
should not put my work down, put social media, put my phone down, but I did it. I set it down for 2 weeks and I know myself, so I made it so that I didn't have to do anything because I knew that if I went on Slack
Yep.
that I would get drawn in. So I just
Hmm.
set it up. It took me 2 weeks to get everything set up at least. But I was so happy I did it. And this is when one of the biggest ideas, the most amazing ideas for a project came to me on day 2 of being quiet and actually letting myself just be. And it's been, I mean, that project unfolded in such an amazing, cool way. So I mean, it does happen when you let yourself disconnect.
I couldn't agree more. Can you share your project with us?
Well, it's a book. So I
Okay.
had never before this moment thought about, I mean, I thought about writing a book, but I didn't really know what, and, but it was so clear. I was sitting in our RV. My husband was driving. I was actually reading a book a little bit, and that had nothing to do with work. And I just had this idea like, oh my gosh, we have been traveling for 10 years in our RV in the summers. We've had so many adventures and mishaps and fun experiences and lessons and growth and all of that. It's just like, Megan, you need to write a book about your travels. And it was so clear. And I remember saying that to my husband, and he was like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course, you should. So I kind of sat on it for that whole vacation, because I was like, no, I don't need another project. I have multiple businesses that I run. I do not need this in my life. But on our way home, 2.5 weeks later, I just decided I'm going to open my laptop and just see what happens. If the words flow, I'm going to run with it. If they don't, I'm going to close it down. And that whole story came out. I didn't need an outline. It was like some other divine force was literally flowing through me. And that whole project, that whole book was written in 2 months.
Wow.
And I already published it. I mean, it was amazing. And that wouldn't have happened. I know this for certain if I hadn't decided to set work and phone and everything aside.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. As
Thank
someone
you.
who's been laboring over a book for a long time, 2 months sounds like a dream come true.
And it wasn't even, people are like, how'd you do that? I'm like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
It was meant to be, because none of it was hard. It was so
Yeah.
easy. Every part of it was easy. So I know that project was meant to come to me and come out of me. And yeah, it's been pretty cool.
What's it called, Megan?
It's called Take the Exit.
Nice.
So
Where can people get it?
Well, it's on my website, meganporta.com. You can get it there. I'm not selling it yet on Amazon. I went the self-publishing route and just kind of sitting with that for a little bit because it feels right. But
Yeah.
not only is it about our adventures and all the things we went through, but it's also permission for other people to take the exit off the main road, whatever that means for you, and just become the person that you're meant to be. So it's part encouragement, part adventure, and lots of funny and sad, scary stories too thrown in.
Well, Take the Exit really feels like a metaphor for get comfortable with silence. Put the scrolling down, be an active participant in your life and go off the beaten path. The tried and true interstate of life now is social media.
I know.
It just is. So again, I'm not anti-social media. It serves a purpose, and in some cases, it's a glorious purpose. In other cases, it's terrible. But it serves a purpose. So I'm not saying get off it. I'm saying don't let it control you.
Right.
Figure out how you can manage it. What happens when you take a break from it, when you make it harder to get to, when you say, all right, so there's 17 places I could be posting. I'm not going to post in 17 places. I'm going to be active on 2 places. There's a lot of decisions to be made in a time and environment where it kind of feels like nobody gets to make any decisions anymore. That's not actually true. You could say, we're going to take this exit and we're going to go on the parallel highway to the interstate and see what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And there are so many different ways to do it too. It's not like you have to, like I did, say no to email and phone, and like you did with Facebook. You can also like get an app on your phone like you have that just helps you a little bit, or try setting the iPhone settings so that it goes off after 10 or 15 minutes. Just try that. It doesn't mean all or nothing.
Yes. It's very, I feel, American to be all or nothing.
Yeah.
If you can't if you can't have it all, then you can't have any of it. Well, that's
gosh,
just
it is
not
so
at
true.
all true. you can have some. Some is appropriate.
Yes, right.
A-
Experiment
And
with some.
yeah, you can decide what some means for you.
Hmm.
Your some doesn't have to be the same as mine.
Yeah. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's good. That's really good.
So, give me one more thing that you have either done for yourself or you talk about in your community, Megan, that you think is helpful. In your case, to food bloggers, but in actuality, probably to all of us.
Yeah. Another thing I do and talk about often is just morning routine. And a lot of people,
Mm.
I think, are afraid of that term because they think I have to get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and I have to work out for an hour. And like,
Yeah.
you have to have a 3 hour morning routine if I want to be successful. And that is not true at all. I think a morning routine could consist of 20 minutes of sitting by yourself, like we've been talking about, or writing for 5 minutes or 2 minutes in a journal. It can be pared back so much more than you think, and you can build on it as you grow, as you go. But I think they're so
And as you
valuable.
grow.
And as you grow, as you go and grow. Yeah. But morning routines are so valuable because you just set the stage for your day. You're not diving right into the busyness and the work and the chaos. You are giving yourself a little bit of a breather, whatever that means for you. A walk, journal, meditation, quiet, music, coffee. We have a hot tub in our backyard, and I go in there every morning, even if it's 5 minutes, just to chill and kind of set the stage for like breathing for my day, and then I allow myself to get into it. But yeah, I think morning routines are overlooked, and they can help you as a human, but they can also help your business because, again, you're setting the tone for what you can handle that day.
Well, it's interesting because essentially what you're saying again is it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah.
If you can't do a 3-hour morning routine, then don't bother at all
Right.
because nothing less will matter.
That's what
That
people
is
think. I
not
know.
true. And I think often what it comes down to is we have an all or nothing philosophy because it gives us an excuse to do nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I can't
Right.
do that, so then there's nothing I
So I'm
can
not
do. So
going to
then
do
I don't.
anything.
Then I'm off the hook for
Right.
all of it. If I can't work out 6 hours a week, I'm not going to work out at all. Well, that's ridiculous. Work
It's
out
so
6 minutes a
silly.
week. It's
I
better than no
know.
minutes a week. I
Yeah.
have a really good friend who's a retired internal medicine doctor and a lifetime diabetic. And so she often was dealing with adult patients who were, pre-diabetic or had become diabetic. And she would say to them, look, this isn't about running a marathon. It's about, can you walk to the end of your driveway? Start there, because eventually you might walk to your neighbor's driveway and then you might walk around the block. And it's not about jumping into the deep end on day one.
Yeah.
So if you're right, if you can have a 5-minute morning routine that you do for a week, a month, a 6 month, whatever, 5 minutes is better than no minutes.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you've read James Clear's book, Atomic
Uh-huh.
Habits.
Atomic Habits.
I love that book so much for
Yeah.
so many reasons, but one of the
Yep.
stories that always sticks with me relates to this. And he tells a story about a guy who was in this exact scenario who's like, it's either all or nothing. I need to be working out all, like weight training for 5 hours a day, whatever. And finally he was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go back to basics and start at the very bottom. So what he would do was he would drive to the gym and literally sit in the parking lot. And then he would go to work or wherever he was going.
Yep.
And then he would do that until the habit stuck. And then he was like, okay, I'm into this routine. Now I can actually walk into the gym. So he would walk in and sign in, and then he would leave. And then he just
Yep.
built it up. So it was like, okay, your system can calibrate that way, no problem.
Yeah.
But going from doing nothing to weight training 5 hours a day, no, that's never going to happen.
Right. No.
Which is exactly what you're saying. You just have to have grace with yourself and patience and allow yourself to start at the very bottom and gradually work your way up to,
To
the
where you
bigger
want to
stuff.
be.
Yeah, where you want to be.
Um, I think about Deepak Chopra. I heard him speaking to Oprah one time, And he said to her that he meditates for 2 hours at a time.
Oof.
And even she was like, what?
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a long
It is a
time.
lot.
I probably never in my lifetime will meditate
Yeah.
for 2 hours
That's
at
the
a
exact
time.
thought I just had.
I mean, I don't meditate for 2 hours a month
Yeah.
collectively, but I do try to start my day with this another little app called Aura that is meditations or coaching or music. You can pick all these different things. And if I know I've got a busy morning and I need to get going, then I'll do a 3-minute little meditation. And if I know I've got a little more time, I'll do a 6 or an 8 minute or, whatever. But just because I'm only doing it for 3 minutes, A, doesn't mean it doesn't count. And B, absolutely still gives me some of the benefit of being mindful, of choosing to start my day that way versus hopping on social media or getting up and, like mindlessly making a cup of tea in my case or whatever. Whatever it is that works for you, stop judging it against what you think everybody else is doing. Because quite frankly, most of us are failing, I say in quotation marks, by 2-hour meditation standards.
Yeah, that is not
Do
fair.
do what you can do
Yeah, right.
and do what
Yeah.
feels good for you, and then don't apologize for it. You don't even have to talk about it if you don't want to. Just do it.
Yeah, I think we sometimes minimize the small stuff too.
Yeah.
Like I have those days when we have an 18-year-old son who's on the spectrum and he's experiencing some anxiety right now, just being an adult and big life changes. So lately I've been trying to sit with him and just help him to breathe a little bit, like actually breathe. And
Yes.
me doing that with him has made me realize, oh, I think I need to maybe stop and breathe once in a while too, because it is so crazy how good it feels. I mean, I'm talking for like 60 seconds. I'm not talking 30 minutes.
Yep.
60 seconds of deep intentional breathing. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how much it helped me. It made me feel so much better. It made my body feel good. I felt mental clarity all of a sudden. So don't minimize those little things, like a glass of water even. If I've had too much coffee and I'm feeling like, oh, I feel like crap today. If
Yep.
I just go drink a giant glass of water, I feel
Yep.
amazing. So there are so many little things like that that really pay off that we just bypass because we think this can't possibly help us, right?
It can't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to hear you tell this story, Megan, because you said, so I've been sitting with him and breathing. And you said the word breathing, and it clued my body to take one deep breath.
Oh,
And in that moment, I thought, oh my gosh, that felt good because
so good.
mostly we're all breathing so shallow. We're taking these very
Yeah.
short,
I
quick
know.
breaths. One deep breath.
Yeah.
Again, if 60 seconds feels too long, take
10
one
seconds. Yeah.
deep
10
breath.
seconds. I know.
And define deep how you want to define deep. There's
Yeah.
no right or wrong way to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
So I really love this idea of middle ground, essentially in this conversation, being what works for you, because all or nothing are the extremes. What is your middle ground of something?
I love that.
What does your morning routine tend to look like?
So some version of this, I do fairly slow mornings. I used to get up and go and just, like do my morning routine, but then get right at it. But now I don't start work typically until 10, and that's very intentional because I do want to make space for the morning routine. So I get up, I get our boys off to school, and then I go work out. I do have days where I'm like, you know what? I need like 10 more minutes of sleep or whatever, like extra rest. So I'll go lay back down. And I was embarrassed about that for a long time too. But now I'm like, whatever. If my body needs rest, I give it rest.
Absolutely.
So, but usually I'll work out, I'll weight train and then run on the treadmill. And then I go sit in the hot tub for 5 to 30 minutes. And I chill I just like try to turn my brain off, close my eyes. I just sit there and kind of prepare for, mentally prepare for the day. And then toward the end of that, I will kind of go through my calendar. What do I have today? I have a call with Dayna. I have some videos I need to film and just set myself up for expectations. And then kind of take a slow shower and get ready. And that's usually how my morning goes.
Wow, that's pretty lovely. I mean, that's a luxurious morning. Sounds
glad to hear
lovely.
you say that. Yay.
Yeah.
I've found success if somebody can look at my morning routine and say that sounds luxury. I love it.
So let me talk through my morning because it's quite different from yours.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to hear it and think, well, okay, I don't have a hot tub. B, I don't have all whatever.
Yeah, right.
So 2 days a week now, my morning starts at 5 a.m. when my husband comes in and wakes me up if I'm not up already. I'm an early riser typically, although this winter I have been sleeping a little bit later, which is very unusual for me. But my husband gets up quite a bit earlier than that. 2 days a week comes in, wakes me up, and we leave the house at 5:12 to get to a cycle class that starts at 5:30. And then so between 5 o'clock and 5:12, those are the days I listen to the 3-minute aura meditation. Then I, get dressed and we go and do spin and we walk around a track after that. So we're often home by about 7 at the latest. And then, I shower and do that kind of thing. If we're not going to spin, then I just get up when I get up, typically 5:30-ish anyway. I'll do a perhaps longer meditation app piece. I journal a little bit.
Yeah.
And I will say that many days as I'm writing, I think, what are you doing? You're saying nothing. But here's the value of journaling. Going back, you start to see some through lines that you can't see in the day to day. You can only see them like when you finish a journal and you start to page through it again. You really can see progress in ways that you will never remember without that kind of mundane writing. So that's an argument for even short journaling. I'm not a morning pages, 3 pages, stream of conscious writing. I'm just not that person. So short writing can be very valuable. We tend to fast 14 hours, so we'll eat between 7:30 and 8 because now we eat like super elderly people in the evenings because I love breakfast and don't want to eat late breakfast. So we eat early dinner so that the fast is done. And then I have tea and all those kinds of things. And my day tends to start around 9. But when I was working, I did many of those same things and my day started around 8:30. So the whole reason I'm sort of explaining this is I really don't want people to think that if they don't have the luxury, because my morning, even that spin piece, which there's nothing luxurious about going and sweating at 5:30 in the morning, but even my morning is luxurious. I don't have children to get ready for school. I have this very competent husband who gets himself ready, all these things.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have the kind of time that both you and I have, Megan, I think it's so important to figure out what do you have time for. What you have time for might be 5 minutes to drink whatever hot thing you want to drink in quiet.
Yeah.
That kind of encompasses you sitting in your hot tub, me writing in a journal, me doing a little meditation. I mean, you can do a lot of calming in 5 minutes.
Yes, you can.
And that's essentially what we're talking about is how do you start on a calm note? Doesn't mean your day's going to stay calm, but it means you started grounded and calm. And that's enormously important.
Oh my gosh, it is. Yeah, I think that is the key point. You can really start with anything. If you're listening and you're like, I have no calm in my life in the mornings, there's no time for it. You're wrong. You can make 2 minutes, like literally just 2 minutes. Find that. Anyone can find 2 minutes. Go into a closet if you need to. Just sit with yourself and breathe for 2 minutes and then drink a glass of water. I mean, you can start as simple as that.
Set a timer and stay in the shower for 2 extra minutes.
Yeah.
Lock the door if you need to so that you don't have the regular interruptions. And I would argue this, turn off the music or the podcast or whatever. Try to find 2 minutes of silence. you're not necessarily going to have a lightning bolt moment of this is the book you should write, or in my case, this is the work you should do. You should leave your CEO position and go do this work. I had one of those too on a 2-week thing. You're not necessarily going to get that, but guess what? Your lightning bolt moment probably actually took fewer than 2 minutes. Certainly mine did.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That didn't unfold for me over the course of the 2 weeks I was gone. It came to me, and you're right, in seconds.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
So,
that something so big and meaningful can come to you in a split second.
Yes.
It's so true, but you have to allow that space for it.
Yeah, I actually think we're getting those kinds of, however you want to think about it. If you're a higher power person, you can think that it's coming from there. If I have a quiet internal voice, it can come from, I mean, I don't care where it comes from or how you think of it, but I think we're getting messages all the time. And it's like, if you're at a basketball game and it's a packed house and somebody on the other side of the stadium is trying to talk to you, you can't possibly hear what they're saying to you because it's way too loud. But if it were just you and that person in that stadium and nobody else was there, they could probably speak to you at this level and you'd hear it.
Yeah.
It's about finding silence. I just cannot stress that point enough. And I love that you also use that as a way to just check in with yourself, get situated, potentially have these life-changing moments and share it with others.
Yeah. And once you have not necessarily a life-changing moment, but maybe even a day-changing moment or something smaller scale, you will want more of it because it's so important to, like, why are you here? Why is your soul even here in the first place? To follow those nudges, I think, and to actually live a fulfilling life for you and others around you. Once you experience that, you will keep doing it. So just,
Well, it's a little bit, it's sort of like a cosmic algorithm to keep you coming back. I mean, go back to this addiction piece. I mean, because you're right. I'm always kind of chasing that quiet moment where I can hear what I'm supposed to do next. And it's happened to me more than once. So I don't know. Maybe it doesn't happen to everyone. I can't promise that it will ever happen. But I can promise you this. If you never allow for it, it will absolutely never happen.
Right. Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to share with us, Megan?
I don't know. I guess we've really touched on, I think, the important parts of our conversation. Just make the space and, give yourself permission to take the exit, whatever that means, to kind of align with my book. And I think that means something different for everybody, which is kind of the point. Your exit is not my exit, but take the exit off the road that you're on in ways that you know you should leave that road.
Yeah, be curious about what else is out there.
Yeah. Yep.
Megan, thanks so much for joining me. This was such a fun conversation.
This was so fun. I could not have started my day better than this. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Excellent. Everybody else, we'll talk soon. Thanks for joining me on Brave Middle Ground. I hope today's conversation inspired you to be audaciously visible and embrace the power of the in-between as you lead in your business, your community, and your life. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. Your support grows our community and keeps these meaningful conversations going. To learn more about Audaciously Visible coaching and support with me, head to daynadelval.com for free resources, upcoming events, and ways to work with me. Brave Middle Ground is mixed by Sound Advice, and our music is by Quinn Del Val. Until next time, I'm Dayna Del Val. Stay curious, stay courageous, and stay connected.